The Arab Spring uprisings that began 2 years ago, now in the dead of winter. Of course, Syria goes on as a grinding conflict. Egypt elected a president, but liberal opposition groups are anything but happy with the Islamist path the country has taken. Bahrain, the tiny Gulf kingdom, it's been bogged down by 2 years of protests and a very heavy-handed crackdown on dissidents. And Tunisia, where it all began, well, now back in the headlines after the killing of a prominent opposition leader. The assassination triggered these angry protests on the streets of the capital, Tunis. Chokri Belaid was an outspoken critic of the government, and protesters say he was gunned down for those views. The unrest continued Friday as Belaid was laid to rest. Senior international correspondent Dan Rivers was in Tunisia covering the sudden uptick in the violence.
And you can see here that people are beginning to run down the street. There's clouds and clouds of tear gas again are billowing down towards us. As a journalist, this is pretty difficult to cover because to all intents and purposes, I think we're treated the same as the protesters. And if they catch me, I think they just hit me with their batons. A lot of the police are on motorcycles, charging around, just hitting anyone they see and then firing tear gas at them.
Now, of course, Egypt is watching events that are going on in Tunisia, comparing it to the ongoing street protests in Cairo as well as other cities. Meantime, Iran's president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, received a warm welcome in Cairo, a historic visit. There was one notable exception, though. Look at this. A man in the crowd tried to throw a shoe at him. That's, of course, a major insult in the Muslim world. The Egyptian Public Prosecutor's Office say 4 Salafi men were behind this prank, they call it. Mr. Ahmadinejad was in Egypt to attend the Islamic conference. I want to bring in a guest. Rana Allam is the managing editor of Daily News Egypt. That's an English-language newspaper in the capital. She joins us now from Cairo. Rana, break it down for us. Why all of the turmoil in Egypt today?
Well, basically because nothing of what we demanded during our revolution has materialized. We're still struggling for bread and freedom and social justice and dignity. Actually, if anything, it's getting worse and worse as time goes by. People are getting poorer, and the security apparatus is horrible in the way they treat Egyptians. We're talking about torture that leads to death. We're talking about children being detained. Over 90 children were detained in the past couple of weeks alone. And people are getting poorer as well, and we have no security on the streets. Social justice hasn't happened. Nothing really, you know, we haven't changed. Actually, it's gone from bad to worse. So it's only natural that people would still take to the streets.
Well, President Morsi says he's trying to control the situation. He's trying to satisfy all sides. He wants a dialogue. Is he showing that he's capable of running the country?
Well, I can't really tell if he would ever be capable of running the country, but as of now, no, he's not. It's all talk. We've been hearing a lot. We've been given speeches and statements and promises, but nothing of it has ever materialized, and we haven't even seen any projects that started to give us hope in the future. Not even one step forward.
Well, looking across the region to Tunisia, unrest there prompted the Islamist government to dissolve the cabinet after that assassination and to call new elections. Some say, well, maybe that's the way that Morsi should respond to the street protests, but others believe this is just leading down an endless road where the street is running Egypt.
The street will have to continue running Egypt as long as the rulers are not doing a good job at that. We do need a proper government, people who are chosen because they're qualified, and not because of their political affiliation, and not because he appointed them. We need people who can do the job. Once we have that, we will not go to the streets. Why would the people, do you think we're happy having every Friday, every weekend out on the streets with clashes and people dying and being detained? We're not. All we need is a proper government and a proper constitution for that matter.
Where is this headed? What is this proper government that might put Egypt at ease?
I would imagine a government with a project. with a national project. I would imagine if they give us some proper planning for the coming 5 years or the coming 10 years, and we would see some steps taken and timelines for achieving certain things that we need. First of all, the security apparatus, the Interior Ministry has to be dissolved. They must become accountable for whatever they did, for everything that they've been doing the past years, and then have a proper government, have a plan, have people who are qualified, who are skilled to run this government, and then we can start talking. But as long as everything is a failure, as long as we have no police on the streets, as long as people walk with guns in cities of this country and no one captures them, as long as the police apparatus just puts all their force into detaining people and torturing them, as long as we have that, we will continue taking to the streets.
Rana Allam, managing editor of Daily News Egypt, I want to thank you very much for being with us on The Brief. Well, a major celebration across much of Asia right now, Lunar New Year underway.